Hi there guys, it's Carlos here at the Carlos de Azevedo Coaching Corner. Today guys, we've got a great topic, absolutely fantastic topic. I've got my co-worker here, Scotty, that's going to be basically interviewing me about an amazing topic. And the topic is, guys, just for you guys to know, is why players began to dive a hell of a lot in nowadays. So basically, over to Scotty, so he's going to be able to basically ask us a lot of questions. I'll be able to try to answer as much as I can. I'm sure there'll be great coaches and managers and players out there that'll be able to comment on this one. I know there's going to be a bit of laugh on this one because it's something that is quite peculiar with a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of you guys, despite the fact that obviously there's so much divers out there, we'll be able to obviously talk a lot about how they do it, why they do it, and what can we do to sort of like help them not to do it, or if you like to do it more, if that benefits the game itself. I don't think it does, but you never know. I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions about that one. So over to Scotty.
Okay, my first question is going to be relating to the English game. It's naturally perceived that there's a lot of diving that goes on in foreign football. How much of an issue do you think it is in the English leagues?
Okay, I think that's a really good question. I tell you what, I'm obviously, as you guys know, in a lot of videos I've done for you guys and shared with you guys, I actually come from Portugal. Now, believe it or not, and when people say obviously these foreign footballers dive a lot, I don't think it's something that I know. It's not something that managers and coaches encourage in Portugal. That's certainly not something they do. But what we do learn very quickly from a very young age is how sometimes certain parts of the game is learned through the way you do it. What I mean by that is quite a bit of a mouthful, really, quite confusing, really. I'll give you an example. I was playing a final in Portugal when I was playing for Athletic Club of Portugal, and basically we lost the final based on a guy completely cheating. What you guys would say cheating. We don't call cheating actually in Portugal. It's part of the game. So the guy goes in the area, he goes past the player, and the player doesn't touch him, and he just trips over his feet and pretends that obviously he got kicked. And they got a penalty and they scored and the game finished. It was literally extra time. Now, obviously we all run to the referee and said, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? He just completely dived. He says, just get on with the game. And that was just a little example for you guys. Like, I'm sure you guys obviously lost games out there and seen those things. Obviously your club's maybe doing it, or I have a player in the club that done it, and you get away with it. And what it is in Portugal is it happens so often where it begins part of the game. It's part of the game, okay? It's like us moaning at the referee, it's part of the game. And then we learn to do that. Now, on the other side, to answer you guys, is a lot of people think that it's something that we learn and get taught. We don't get taught that, but we learn that if you do that and get away with it, it's beneficial for the game because you win the game. I know you're cheating, but that's part of the game. I don't agree with it, to be honest with you. I really don't agree with it. And being in England for so long now, I think I kind of like find it quite rude for players to get away with it, and they smile underneath and think, you know, I got away with that one, but we won the game, and that's how it is. But that's to answer that one. Obviously there is a lot more stuff to add on to that, but that's the explanation when it comes to it, really.
Okay, that makes sense, Carlos. What can we do to cut down on diving? I know that the penalty tends to be a yellow card if you get caught in the match, but is that really enough of an incentive for players not to dive and cheat? Should there be some retrospective action taken afterwards? Perhaps with this video evidence, should there be a ban for players who dive?
I think that's a great question. I think when players dive, I don't think that's a choice in terms of are they going to dive on that particular moment, because it happens sporadically. So it's something that happens quite in an instant. So it's very hard for a player to go, right, okay, I'm going to get a ball in the middle of the field, I'm going to go past 3 or 4 players, and then I'm going to dive. I don't think it's what's in his mind. I think it's something that happens, if he's going to dive, it's something that happens literally in a split second, and you do it. Now, if the player's got in him, because believe it or not, for you to dive properly, professionally if you like, you need to be a bit of an artist. And it rings to kind of like my head, really. Some players that I've seen doing, I mean, you guys being in England here, you probably remember Klinsmann. I mean, to be honest, he was kind of cringing really to a certain degree with certain things he did. But when it comes to actually doing it professionally, I think he did it to a degree very well. However, to a degree, it was embarrassing some of the time, but he got away with some of the times. His celebration was actually a dive, wasn't it? And he got away with something quite a lot of the times that we would say embarrassing. Now, what I've got to say to you guys about that one is, some of the guys that get away with it, a lot of the times do it without realising they've done it. I'll give you an example like Michael Owen. For a while he began to be a bit of a diver, and to be honest with you, the referees clocked on it. He came to a point where a lot of the times he wasn't diving, he was a foul, because obviously he got that sort of reputation. Then all of a sudden the referee's going to think, you know what, every time you're going to go down, I ain't going to blow it, because I know you diving. I felt sorry for him a lot of the times, because he actually got kicked a lot of the times. I'll give you another one example, is Cristiano Ronaldo got that sort of like reputation of being a bit of a diver, and a lot of the times he was getting kicked, but it was a bit of a mixture. So I would say for you to stop that would be hard, because if you think about it, if a player was brought up from an academy in a foreign country and he was sort of glorified to get away with some penalties like that, and he got away with it, it's almost like a skill that he's trying to take from the player. It's like telling the player, don't tackle. He'll think, hold on a minute, I'm quite good at this, so why can't I do it? So it's hard to take away. I mean, you can discipline a player, say, listen, in this country we don't do that, and obviously if you get seen doing that and we've got video evidence, this is how you're going to be punished. Maybe that's probably the best way, and obviously encourage them to obviously be fair and play the fair game rather than cheating. And I'd probably say that's probably, especially for young players, to educate players from that sort of age, no diving, okay?
That's good. So you'd be in favour of perhaps going for a ban for anybody caught, or would you do some other sort of method like a fine to punish the divers?
I'd probably say both, really. I think that's I think probably both would probably, for you to stop it. I think for professional footballers it would probably be hard, because most of professional footballers that are very good at diving, they would probably learn that from a very young age. So it'd probably be hard to get that out of their game. To a certain degree. However, but if you punish them enough, it's like a fine, isn't it? If you keep speeding, you get fined. Eventually, you don't drive anymore. In the football, you can't stop him from playing anymore. But what you could do, you keep fining him. Eventually, he'll think, you know what, I ain't doing that again. So maybe that's a good one. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're a Premiership footballer earning several £100,000 per week,
okay,
do you think the fines are going to make much of a difference to them, or do you think they would continue diving anyway? That's
another good question. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, regardless of how much money you earn, if you keep having to pay these fines, I don't think it's going to be very fun. Whether you earn 100,000, whether you earn 1,000, or if you earn 100 or 10, I think comes to a point where I think the punishment is enough. And I think once your name goes around as if you're a bit of a diver, I think it's enough for people to think, you know what, But to be honest with you, it's something that I would say. We've got a couple. I won't say couple. There's several guys doing that quite often, and they're getting away and they're getting a bit highlighted. But I think if the FA would like to stop that, or if the game would like to stop that, it would be just a matter of finding them and not so much name and shame. But obviously, if you kind of get the wrong publicity, I think people, you become like a bit of a joker, don't you? You know what I mean? Just stop doing what you're doing and get on with the game, really.
Yeah, some players do seem to get that kind of reputation. You mentioned Michael Owen. I'm a Newcastle fan myself, so he obviously played for us for a short period. He regularly used to get fouled all the time, and
sure.
He basically wouldn't get a free kick or a penalty for it. So I think once a player does get that reputation, then he's got to struggle to shake it off.
Sure. Yeah, that's a very good point.
Ronaldo, when he was young, I think he did get that reputation pretty quickly. I wouldn't say he necessarily has it now. He's obviously turned into an international superstar since he started off at Man United. He's obviously got to Real Madrid now, and his reputation seems to have improved, I think, in that respect. But I think it is. Would you agree that fast players, skillful players who often get fouled, are more likely to dive as well? Because it seems like they're the kind of players who will try and get a free kick or win a penalty.
Yeah, I mean that's something that definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, is a good point. What happens is obviously for the guys that obviously footballers know exactly what I'm trying to say. When you are travelling at a speed, in particular the guys that are pretty fast, either by very close control of the ball or by projecting the ball forward and meeting the ball into a space. I mean, I'll give you an example. Cristiano dribbles very much he runs with the ball and kicks the ball forward and meets it. Whereas, say, Messi, for instance, he runs very close with the ball on his feet, either or, very, very fast, and they do change direction very fast. So sometimes, a lot of the times, when someone's running at certain amount of speed, if you look from a biomechanical point of view, sorry, if you think about it, you can only run with 1 foot on the floor each time, if that makes any sense. You ain't going to jump with 2 feet together, are you? So if you look at it from a biomechanic point of view, as you start traveling, changing direction, regardless of how great you are and how powerful you are, it comes to a point all it takes sometimes is a little nudge, and you will lose balance, do you know? If you see, like for instance, Christian is probably a great example. He changes sometimes direction from right to left so fast, where all it takes is a little nudge, and they will go. Now, if you said to the player, your goal is to stand up, not to score, he probably would never fall. But if the goal is to score, a lot of the times as they change direction and they're so agile to move into space or into where the ball is to strike, a lot of times all it takes is, as I said, is a little nudge or a little foot movement, and once there's contact, they will go down. And if it's inside the area, it's almost like an atomic reflex for the guys that know a little bit more anatomy, physiology. Once the touch is there, a lot of the times the guys go down and they hope for the best, you know. But it's not something that I would say it's divers a lot of times. Sometimes it's just you do go down, and you might say, oh, he's diving, but he's gone down. I mean, this year, I mean, we've seen a lot of Premiership football games where a lot of players just went down, and they went down. They didn't dive; they just went down. And is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? So it's I would say would probably help more referees to learn this subject a little bit more, because a lot of referees, they've got in their head, you know what, he's going to dive anyway, so I'm not going to blow it. But sometimes it's quite hard to kind of distinguish whether he's diving or he's gone down by a foul. So that's the one, really.
In a case where the referee's not 100% sure, would you expect him to err on the side of caution and then perhaps give no foul or no penalty, but there would be also no cards or punishment for the person who went down?
That is a really hard one to answer, because it's
how certain does the referee have
it's
to
very
be
hard.
before he can give a yellow card?
It's like the same, like that probably takes it into another subject, which is guy, when the ball goes into the bar, goes down, he goes in, he comes back out, until there's camera sort of sensors, and after you've watched it, you know, remember England played against Germany in the World Cup. The ball, Lampard strikes, the ball goes onto the bar, goes back down, goes in, comes back out. And they would have changed the game. I'm sure for the guys that watched that game would have known at that time, if England had scored that goal, probably would have gone all the way. That's another one. Do you know? I mean, if the referee had camera view and seen what has happened, then he can make a decision whether there's been a contact and whether it's genuine foul or not. But until then, it's hard. It's as hard for the referee as it is for us to actually distinguish that one. But I would say if the ref is certain that the player's dived, definitely card. I think that's the answer. I would definitely say that. But if he's not too sure, maybe I'll probably leave it.
Yeah, so just kind of hedge your bets a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything that we can do at a grassroots level for youth players to try and discourage them from diving? So obviously that would carry forward into the next generation.
I think to answer that one is, I would say, and this is probably a bit of a technical one, I think instead of actually discourage a player not to dive, you just make sure that the referees are hard with them. Because once the referees are hard with the players, that would automatically stop the player to dive. So if the referee says, he sees a player diving, off you go with a yellow card, and you do it again, off you go and have a yellow card, and off you go, they'll think, you know what, I ain't doing that again. You know. Now if you start congratulating a player, what I mean by that, I say player goes down, he's diving, it's a penalty, it's a foul, and all of a sudden he's getting away with it, he'll carry on doing it because he got away with it. It's like anything, isn't it? Okay.
Of course. So you think that the burden should really be on the referees to clamp down?
I would say so, because if you, as a coach itself, I mean, you as a coach can say, listen, you know, Peter, Dave, Paul, whatever the kid's name is, stop diving. I think there's an impact there. Of course, there is an impact there, but I think I mean, how much punishment can you give a player? I mean, I say his best player keeps diving. He scores all your goals. You take him out. Okay, you take him out 1 game, 2 games. Yeah, that's some sort of punishment. But if the referees are there and he's punishing you, once there's a punishment with a card, all of a sudden your managing coach are going to be on your case as well. So, and it's going to be embarrassing really, because your mates are going to think, what the bloody hell are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
You know? So it's going to be obviously that as well. Okay.
Okay, Carlos, you've given me some great answers there.
Great.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.
I'm looking forward to the next video.
Fantastic. Okay then guys, so this is obviously Carlos and Scotty at Carlos de Azevedo Coaching Corner. We'll be coming back with some more debates. The reason obviously for us to be in here, obviously is for you guys to share with us great knowledge. We don't want to come across any some experts or anything like that. We're just humble people that love the game, that would like to obviously inspire you guys and have some debates. Okay guys, until next time, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.